Hey guys, how's it going? So, this is a bit of a part two to my car radio series. So, one of the speakers in the back of my car actually blew, the left rear speaker. So, what I did is I bought all four new speakers. They're JBL 621Fs, and I'm just gonna replace all of them and the tweeters. So I actually got new tweeters as well. Again, I'm not much of a car guy, so I don't really know what I'm doing exactly, but this time around I used Crutchfield, and they gave me a lot of good instructions to follow along with. So I'm just going to try those and see if I could get it to work. One thing I am a little worried about is with these particular speakers, you can see here the impedance is 3 ohms. I read online that usually you want to use 4 ohms, but apparently JBL made these speakers so that the radio sees them as 4 ohms, but they're actually 3. I'm not exactly sure how that'll play along with my iDoing radio, but I really like that radio, so I hope these work well with it. I guess we'll find out. So here we go. All right, so I'm starting with the back left speaker, which is the one that was defective. Basically, there were 2 screws. There's one in here. I had to pry this little thing open to get to it, and it's just a regular Phillips head screwdriver. And then same for right here inside the door handle. So I just pried this little door open to get into it with a flathead and a Phillips head to get the screw out. So that's where I'm at now, and I think the next step is prying off this door frame. So here I go. Okay, I got the door panel off. So basically, I started from the right side here. If I turn on my light, I basically put my hand underneath the right side here and just kind of pry it up, and then the clips will suddenly unlatch. Like you'll hear a loud like snap. That's just it unlatching from the clips. And you just kind of go around the bottom edge here and just pull the panel apart, lift it up, and it'll come right off. But then, then I run across this guy. So this is the actual switch for the window. And I ended up prying it out of the actual door itself because it's actually just clipped in there. It's not screwed in or anything, so I just pried it out. And the whole thing came right out. And it looks like it could do that. And it's not broken or anything. I don't see any missing clips, so that is a way you can get that off. Apparently you can also unplug it from there, and that will work too, but I couldn't figure out how to do it that way. And I didn't want to like stress the wires to the point where they rip out of the connector itself, so I just kind of just pulled the whole mechanism out of the door itself. So there's our speaker. This is my troublesome one, and I don't see any holes in it though, so I don't know why it's blown. Maybe you could see holes. I'm a little exhausted right now, so I'm like kind of just taking my time as I go with it because this is uncharted territory. But yeah, so that's the speaker I'm replacing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And looks like it's just 3 screws. So I just take those out and it should come out. And there should be a plug in it, so it's completely modular. There's no soldering you have to do or splicing, which is really nice because I hate soldering. So here we go. Wish me luck. Okay, so I got my two speakers for the rear mounted on this adapter thing that'll actually allow me to just slip it right into the Subaru door, like the frame of the door. So Crutchfield's instructions said to drill holes. I'm not confident in a drill because my hands are shaky. So I bought these adapters. So hopefully these suffice for, you know, for these speakers. Looks like they should. Looks like it looks promising enough. So I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to start with the speaker that was blown in the first place. Try one of these in there. Make sure my radio could handle it. And if that is successful, then I'll go ahead and do the other one. And then I'll do the other two tomorrow night. Hey guys. Well, after a lot of troubles and tribulations, I have the first speaker installed. I do not know if this is the right way to do it. Seems like it's solid in there. Anyway, I'm going to try it out and see what happens. So, let's go over here. So, oh, I guess I need my keys, huh? That would be good. Yeah. Here. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the volume on my radio all the way down initially. And I want to set the fade and balance to just that speaker. So that way I could actually hear it working and all the other speakers will be muted. So that's what I'm going to do here. And that'll ensure that it works. Yeah, I don't want to turn the car on because I'm in a closed garage. Okay. So, going into my mixer settings here, wherever it is. Mixer. I'm a little frazzled right now because I just got done doing a lot of shit. So, alright. So that is the speaker I replaced just now. So we are going to see if that actually works. So I'm going to put on... Oh! I do hear it. I hear it when I clicked... I don't know what is actually playing right now. There's my dog. Yeah. Oh, that's the radio. That's what that is. So, what is my dog actually doing? So, alright, so that's on volume 6. Tell me if you with it, cause I'm with it, babe. I haven't heard from you and I'm in it, babe. Just tell me what to do and I get it. What the f*** is here? So I hear a little distortion. Of course, I don't listen to hip hop, but that might not be good. So I want to put on a song that I actually know. Actually, you know what? That's kind of smart because they don't want you recording the song because of copyright. That is actually pretty smart. Okay, so the long of short of it is I couldn't record any music playing because, of course, the music stops when I go to videotape, and I don't have another camera besides my phone. But it does sound good. So I did it correctly. I didn't fuck anything up. This is what it looks like, the car right now. I still haven't put the panel back on yet because I'm like still testing it to make sure it works. And I'm also testing my head unit to make sure it's okay, because I did read that if the head unit is like heating, if it's like overheating, I want to pay attention to that. And it doesn't feel warm at all. It feels fine. So I think these speakers are going to work, which is excellent. Of course, when I plug all 4 of them in, that may draw more power from the amp or the head unit, but fingers crossed, it'll be all good. So I'm going to go ahead. I got to go to Home Depot and get I got to get 8 of these screws because Crutchfield didn't give me stuff for the back panel. So I have to go to Home Depot or the hardware store, pick up 8 more of screws of this size, and after that I should be good. I should have everything I need to do the rest of the upgrade. So I'll see you guys later. Burp! All right. So mission accomplished. I got one of the speakers back together. That's the door fully back together. Well, the car's off, so like the window probably won't work, but might want to check that real quick actually. Let's see. Okay. Yep, window works. Obviously the door and the lock both work. And the remaining speakers, the other 3 are still the stock, but so far mission accomplished. So hopefully nothing bad happens. I will let you know. The hardest part for me was actually just figuring out how the mechanism is put together inside the door for me to be able to reassemble it. Once I figured that out, it was actually relatively simple, and it was just 2 screws, boom, nothing at all. So yeah, so yep, it's all working. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the... Hey guys, I did it. I got both speakers in the back seat. So here it is. Of course, obviously you won't see it because it looks stock, but that's the whole idea. Basically, the disassembly this time around was way less of a hassle because I already had done the same thing to that door. I've already had all my trials and tribulations over there. So when it came time to do this door, it was a lot more easy and straightforward. I'm hoping that the front doors tomorrow when I go and do them will be kind of similar at least. I know that the handle and the lock are in slightly different positions there, but it should overall be pretty much the same. And then I got to do the tweeters, so those will be next. But I will say, the sound that comes out of these is actually insane. Like, it's way more power than I could ever really want. But the head unit is handling them pretty well. I mean, honestly, for an iDoing, a cheap, like, kind of no-name brand head unit, it handled those two speakers pretty good. Though I don't know how long-term it will be, if it'll still be that way long-term, but I'm kind of hoping it will be. But at least I still have my back speakers now, so that's good. The front ones never died. The front ones were always okay, so now I have all four speakers working again, so that's nice. So, and of course, that's the old speaker from this door, so you can kind of see what it looks like. It was a good speaker. It was still working, but so and gotta clean up all this mess now because I'm basically done for the night. I might, I mean, I might just keep it like this until I'm fully done with it. But yeah. Alright, it's tomorrow. Hey guys, night 2. I'm working on the front speakers now, as you can see. This mess over here. I got the third speaker in the right door, the right-hand door. I kind of had to improvise a little with this one. The door came off pretty much the same way as the back door. You know, you just pry it off from the bottom and the sides with the prying tool, and then you just pull at it, like yank at it until it comes off from the bottom, and you slide it up to get it off of that lip. But one thing that was kind of interesting about this door that the back speaker door, the back door speakers didn't have was the original factory speaker actually plugs in the side. So believe it or not, the speaker wire was originally outside that sheathing where all those wires are kind of tucked in. So there was actually a wire coming out of here and then kind of going right down to the side. So I actually had to take it and sort of stuff it and carefully snake it through behind the speaker hole. And that was the only way I could figure out how to get the JBL plugged in. So it is plugged in. I succeeded, so that's awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and test it. I might have to grab my keys, but I'll go get them. Okay, so I got the speaker hooked up. It does work. It sounds awesome. So right now you're only hearing the speaker I just plugged in. I faded all the other ones out. So pretty good so far. Alright, here it is. The finished product for the right-hand door. One more door speaker left, and then it's the tweeters, and then I'm done. I think it's 11:25 p.m. right now. I think I'm going to do the other door tonight. Hopefully, if I could get the other speaker mounted in the bracket. That's the other thing. With this speaker, I actually had a little trouble with the mounting bracket because these brackets in the front, unlike the back ones, these are angled because they're designed to point upwards towards like the driver or the passenger. But at the most narrow point of the angle where it meets the bottom of the bracket, there isn't really a whole lot of space to work with there, so I have to use a really short screw. Otherwise, if the screw is too long, it'll jut out and when I go to mount it into the frame, it'll be uneven, like the speaker will be not flush against the frame, which is bad, obviously. Um, so I had to deal with that somehow and get a little creative with it. I ended up finding like a rubber washer that was like the perfect size that I could use as a spacer for the screw to like raise it up. And then and that made it so the screw was not sticking too far out to the point where it was just flush against the because inside the frame here there's like little white spacers where you actually screw the speaker into the frame, and those little extra spacers are like that high from the actual frame itself, and that helped. And that just so happened to be uh, how much of the screw was poking out. So it just barely worked. I had to improvise a bit. Now I got to do the same for the other speaker somehow. Um, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it tonight, but hopefully I can. So here it goes. Hey guys, it's me again. I got the speaker assembly finally put together. Like I said before, I had to improvise because Crutchfield didn't actually send me the right screws for this thing. So, there's the problem right there. See how the screw is coming out of the bottom of that? That's supposed to be flush. However, there is a pad in the door where the speaker actually sits on when it gets screwed in, and the pad is about that high from the surface. So I think I should be okay. So here I go. I'm going to start installing the speaker into that door. Should be exactly the same as the right door, just mirrored. So here it goes. All right, guys, I did it. Last door speaker installed. You can see I did it pretty much the same way as the other door. I just stuffed the wires inside that area there, that little sheath, and snaked the speaker wire down behind the hole there. And yes, it was originally going out. It was outside the sheath, going into the side of the speaker. So you can see here, that's where the old speaker's terminal was. It was off the side like that. So yeah, it's in. I'm gonna test it. Should be good, and we'll put the car back together and we'll be done for the night. Alright, I'm about to test it. It is making sound. So let's see, going back over to Zealand. All speakers in. Hey guys, it's me again. So the footage you just saw was from about 3 days ago. Since then, this is basically what happened. So I got the car back together, as you saw. I reassembled it, and I was enjoying the speakers for a while. But one thing that was glaringly obvious is that the speakers weren't really outputting the sound into the car very strong and prominently. Basically, the best way I could describe it is rather than the speakers actually like putting out the sound into the car, it sounded more like they were emitting sound around the speaker itself. So, in other words, the sound sounded like it was like inside the car door. Or another way to put it is it sounded like the audio was like about 5 feet away from where it actually was. Uh, if you turned the volume up, it would get louder, but it sounded like it was like in the distance. So it didn't really sound great. There was no bass at all, so you couldn't really hear the audio that clearly unless you turn the volume up. So that was a problem. Upon researching it, I figured out that it was because I had sound, uh, no sound padding or insulation in there whatsoever. So what I ended up doing was getting these speaker baffles. They were basically silicon speaker baffles. I got them for like 25 bucks on Amazon. So if you go and do this, the way you want to do it is um, you put the bracket down, the baffle inside the bracket, and then the speaker on top of the baffle, and then screw it all together in the 4 screw holes. So that's what I ended up doing. I and this also meant that I had to take apart all 4 door speakers again, and so that's what I was doing the last 2 nights. I was disassembling the car again, putting the new speakers, baffles, into the speaker assembly that I had. So yeah, bracket, baffle, and then speaker in that order. Putting the new assembly, the speaker assemblies, back in each door, putting the panels back on, retesting everything, making sure it all worked. And luckily it did. It sounded 1,000% better. It sounded like the speaker was deliberately outputting the sound into the car now. And not only that, but it really put out a lot of bass. These speakers, JBL 621Fs, they have a lot of bass in them. They pack a punch. So I was really happy with that. So yeah, if you guys ever want to do that, the only other thing that I didn't really mention in the rest of the video was the paneling. When you're taking apart the paneling, there's 2 pulleys with ball joints at the end of them that you got to be aware of. Those control the latch for the door, the inner latch for the door, and the lock. So you just pull those out, and you want to make sure the yellow one is on top and the black one is on bottom. I don't know if it's like that for like the WRX or the Legacy or the Outback or the Forester, but that's how it was in my Crosstrek. So, um, yeah, so basically you just want to be aware of those 2 pulleys when you're pulling the panel off and then putting it back in. You got to put them back into their sockets when you're putting the panel back on. So that was one thing I didn't mention, but yeah, and the rest is basically what you saw in the video. I won't play it for you again, but there you go. So yeah, hope you enjoyed and have a good night. Bye.